And welcome back to Clutch Time. Today we're talking about Hoopsteria, and we're just reflecting on round one of Hoopsteria, just talking about maybe some of the key takeaways out of that. And so, look, the only thing that I could come up with for this segment is just wild, because I think that that's exactly what this was. If you got a chance to look at this tournament, it was wild to see really all the teams that got upset in this, and just to see how they got upset, I think was interesting. And so let's go ahead. Let's jump into the bracket here, where I'm sure a lot of people's brackets got destroyed. And so starting with Duke, I think that Duke was very impressive with the way that they came out. Give Creighton a ton of credit for responding, but Duke defensively, they shut the thing down. And so I got to give them a ton of credit. And so I want to see now what they're going to do moving forward, because we know that this is a team that can get you offensively, but if they're putting it together defensively like that, it's going to be a team that's going to be tough to stop. St. Mary's, Texas A&M, I thought that this was very much a back and forth game. In fact, I think that at one point, both teams had shot over 40% in that game. And so for St. Mary's to hang on and get out of that one, I thought that that was a good win, especially since I know they were the lower seed at 8 and Texas A&M at 9, but still with Buzz Williams and then that experience that he has as a coach, I thought that they could get out of that round, but it didn't happen. Next up, this was definitely a shocker. Oklahoma, I just got to give them a ton of credit with what they were able to do against Georgia Tech. And honestly, coming into this one, I thought that Georgia Tech was a team that had been very much up and down in the ACC. And so for Oklahoma, I know it's a shocker, but it's not a shocker with the way that they took care of business. Next up, SMU. Look, I got to give SMU a ton of credit. I think that just the pace, the way that they played, the way that they took care of Arkansas, that was a terrific win. St. John's and Louisville. This, to me, they are who we thought they were, because these are teams that I think we truly expected to move on. St. John's taking care of business, Louisville taking care of business, and now between those two, can Louisville now establish that they belong? Because I think that they've shown throughout the season that they got the high ranking and everything else, but it's like, can they make people truly believe in them? And I think they're going to have to go a little bit deeper here for that to happen. Next up, this is the matchup that I am looking forward to seeing, and that is going to be Maryland and Villanova, and it's because of the guard play. It's going to be CKC and Justin Bell, one of my favorite players to watch. And Villanova, I'm very high on this team. And so for them to take care of business, even though they gave us a scare in the first round, being down by Tennessee, you got to give them a ton of credit. And I love the way that CKC and Maryland came out, like they were supposed to win that game. And so for the East region, I think that really there wasn't too much of a shakeup in the East region. I know we just talked about it with Oklahoma and SMU, but I think for the most part, this one really shook up or shaked out, I should say, the way that we thought it should. So that's my reflection there on the East region. Then going over to the Midwest region, I think that this is where it really started to get wild. Marquette taking care of Texas, and I don't think anybody saw that on the bingo card. That was just absolutely wild to see. And the fact that Texas had a chance to win the game, and it was a controversial call. I mean, I think that that's something that will always be replayed. I'm reminded of the Nets, I think 2022, when Kevin Durant stepped on the line, and that cost them the playoff series. And so next, thinking about Rutgers and Michigan. And so Rutgers advancing over Princeton, I must say that I really was shocked on this one, because Princeton, I know not a lot of people had them going far, but I'm not sure that people had them just out in the first round, because I think that Princeton had shown that they should at least be a team that could get to the second round, maybe the third round there. And so that was definitely a shocker. Rutgers, you got to give them a ton of credit. Michigan, not too, shocking there with me. I think that just their interior play is something that I think is going to be an advantage for them in this tournament. And so I know you see the lower seed, but it's a team that I would say they very much could have been a higher seed, in my personal opinion, had they been able to put together just a better body of work. And then also, too, I think just the on-court kind of drama that kind of played into that. And so Michigan, it's a team that could be dangerous. Utah, Xavier. And so Xavier, that was certainly a shocker for me. The way that defensively they came out on Lace Darius Outlaw, I thought that was incredible, how they were able to defend and move on. Utah, They are who we thought they were. They move on against South Carolina. And then Michigan State, look, I never bet against the Spartans in this time of the year because Tom Izzo, terrific coach. He knows how to coach up Michigan State. And we were talking about this during the broadcast. He also puts a lot of players into the SWBA. And so it's a well-coached team. I am not shocked that they're moving on. Now, Wichita State and Georgetown, I think to me, this was like the upset of the day and maybe one of the biggest upsets of the tournament because not a lot of tape on Wichita State. And this is like some of the things that teams go through in the tournament is you just don't have a ton of time to prepare. But Wichita State came out and they were very uncharacteristic of what they had been doing on paper. I think it was a team that was supposed to be balanced, running 2-3 zones and stuff like that. And they completely just changed up a lot of different things with the defense that they ran at Georgetown and just confused them. And I just think that Georgetown not being able to put Wichita State away, you could just tell the confidence just kind of started to diminish and the emotion with Wichita State and the way that they played. Man, I am looking forward to seeing them in this next round. I don't know if they can advance, but man, if they can play like that and just hold on and be there, they are a team that could very much break the bracket some more. And so next, just going over to the Southern region quickly here. And so Alabama advancing, not necessarily something that was a shocker here for me. Kansas State, another one of those teams that I think it could go either way between Indiana and Kansas State. And so you got to give Kansas State a ton of credit for taking care of business. Miami against Butler. I really picked Miami to advance here. I like them a ton. And I just say it all the time. You can't underestimate a champion. And so Miami is going to be a tough out. And I said this before the tournament, and I know they're going against a tough UNLV team, but I think that I like Miami to advance again here. Just my personal opinion. Auburn, Iowa. And so Iowa is another one of those teams, 3 seed. I like them a ton, especially with Lamarian Sherwood. The fact that one of the things we're not talking about to me is that he's fresh. Okay, because he was injured. Now he's back. I think he's going to be fresh moving forward in this tournament. Iowa's a scary team. So I like Iowa to advance here. Got to give Auburn a ton of credit to get take care of a feisty Houston team. You know that they were going to come out with a lot of passion, especially since it being Coach Sampson, perhaps his last game, which, ultimately it is there. But you got to give them a ton of credit the way that they were able to answer and get by Houston. And then Arizona, look, man, Arizona taking care of business. I think, shout out to, Corey Yams. I think that he looked terrific out there for the most part. And I think that he's going to show his stuff some more here in this next round. Oregon taking care of Kentucky. Definitely a shocker there. Just Jamison Johnson did not show up in that. And even without him not showing up, you would think that Kentucky would be able to still put it together. But give Oregon just a ton of credit. They just stunned Kentucky once again. This is why this is just a wild hoopsteria. Next up, speaking of wild, Virginia Tech going down to Virginia. And look, I wanted to believe in Virginia Tech a lot, but it just seems like every time the lights shine the brightest on them, they shrunk. And so it's unfortunate for Virginia Tech that this happened, especially it being, an in-state rival, Virginia taking care of business. And so you got to give, Johnny Baldwin and those guys a ton of credit for coming out and just straight up hooping. And that's what it's all about when it comes down to Hoopsteria. It's not about the seeds. It's about coming out. It's about playing hard. It's about playing your style of ball. And it's about, you not getting or letting the other team dictate the way that the game is played. And I think that that's what Virginia did. Next, Gonzaga advancing over California, so taking care of business there. San Diego State, look, I was very impressed with their win over Texas Tech. Got to give Texas Tech a lot of credit because they came out definitely with a lot of energy early on, but just the way that San Diego State was able to get down to the lane and stuff like that, like I definitely think that they are going to be maybe a tough out here. And Wisconsin, impressed with the defense. I think that really shutting down Bam Wallace, who we know he's a microwave out there, but man, they completely took him away. They took away the young freshman guard as well out there. And so I just got to give them a ton of credit defensively for what they were able to do against North Carolina. And lastly, you got Jackson State and UCLA. This is probably the second most anticipated game that I'm looking forward to, my personal self, because the star power in this game, Jalen Snow. Hopefully you have D Woodley. I think that that's going to be really key to this. But the coaching, right? Like I love Mo Williams. I love what he's been able to do with this Jackson State team. And then also too, with Mick Cronin, like he's one of my favorite coaches. I mean, I just love the way that he's able to coach up this UCLA team. And I just think that UCLA has a chance to really show the rest of the country what a dynamic duo that they have with Carroll, and then also too with the Snowman as well, Jalen Snow. And then with Jackson State, they really have a chance to show just how tough that they are. I think that a lot of people really look at D Woodley and they say, okay, but this team is scrappy. They get on the boards, they beat you up. Like I just love the way that they play. And so that is going to be the game to watch for me round two. Next up, Davidson and UConn. And so not really just shocked that UConn moved on. I mean, I know it's against Kansas, but UConn, they have championship DNA. Coach Dan Hurley, I love him a lot. And just the fact that UConn, Big East basketball, I've said this throughout the years, it's a conference where you get battle tested. So UConn, the way that they took care of Kansas, not really shocking to me, even though it's a 2-15, it was a shocker to everybody else. And so Davison moving on past New Mexico, look, terrific win for them. And so, look, this was a wild first round of play. I'm looking forward to the second round, which is set to take place here today. So make sure you stay tuned in across the network. We'll definitely be on those calls. And so we'll also be getting you prepped here for those games as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that content. And look, I just want to thank everybody out there, man, and make sure that you stay locked into the network. And as we always say, man, look, see the game and be the game. I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, man. Peace.